What up, bro? Shit. I'm gonna see if I can stop by later on to get one of the things. Alright. I'll be over there in a couple hours. I said I'll be over there in a little while. I'm in the studio right now. Alright, I'll meet you up. Yo, what up?
Dexterity and athleticism. There's no one doing it better than Boston Dynamics. The company, now owned by the Japanese firm SoftBank, was founded in 1992 and it
connected to iPhone.
Robotics. Atlas is a 6-foot humanoid robot that's been designed for search and rescue. Its abilities include navigating outdoor rough terrain and manipulating its environment. In order to see, Atlas is equipped with stereo cameras and a laser rangefinder. The robot is so advanced that it can now do some tasks that I'd say most humans couldn't. This includes successful backflips. When released in 2013, Atlas was an absolute breakthrough in humanoid robotics, as it could easily walk on uneven surfaces and even snow-covered terrain, and it can get up when knocked over. This is something that the previous generation of humanoid robots couldn't manage. Maybe to put some minds at ease, the Department of Defense has stated that it has no interest in using this robot for offensive or defensive warfare. Spot Mini. The canine-inspired Spot Mini weighs about 25 kilograms or 55 pounds and is much lighter than other Boston Dynamics robots. It runs off electricity and can operate for about 1.5 hours. Spot Mini is also the quietest robot from Boston Dynamics. In February 2018, a video of Spot Mini opening a door with a claw made it to #1 on YouTube trending, and a lot of people did find it a bit creepy, especially if they were a fan of Black Mirror. But I really just see good mechatronics engineering. So most of the footage that you've seen of Spot Mini is when the robot is in autonomous mode. But what some people might not know is that Spot Mini can actually be controlled by a human. Here's a pretty cool example of a TED Talk where that happens.
So this is Seth Davis, who's my robot wrangler today. And he's giving Spot some general direction by steering it around. But all the coordination of the legs and the sensors is done by the robot's computers on board. It's got a solid-state gyro and IMU on board. It loves to use its dynamic gates, like running. And it's got one more. Some of you may see that as a head and a neck, but believe me, it's an arm. And Seth is driving it around. Now he's actually driving the hand and the body is following. So the two are coordinated in the way I was talking about before, the way people can do that. And in fact, one of the cool things that Spot can do, we call chicken head mode. And it keeps its head in one place in space and it moves its body all around. There's a variation of this that's called twerking. So Spot, I'm feeling a little thirsty. Could you get me a soda? Now for this demo, Seth is not doing any driving. We have a LiDAR on the back of the robot and it's using these props we put on the stage to localize itself. It's gone over to that location. Now it's using a camera that's in its hand to find the cup, picks it up, and again, Seth's not driving. So we planned out a path for it to go. It looked like it was going off the path. And now Seth's going to take over control again because I'm a little bit chicken about having to do this by itself. Thank you, Spot. Feel about having just finished your TED performance? Me too. Thank you all, and thanks to the team at Boston Dynamics who did all the hard work behind this.
Another robot that Boston Dynamics has is Handle. Handle combines the dexterity of other Boston Dynamics robots, but with wheels. It stands 6.5 feet high and can travel about 15 kilometers an hour or 9 miles an hour. It also runs on battery and can travel a pretty impressive 24 kilometers or 15 miles on one charge. And to add to this, it can jump 4 feet high. Versatility. Honda's Asimo robot takes the cake for the most versatile robot in terms of ease of integration into various target markets. Asimo, which stands for Advanced Step in Innovative Mobility, has the ability to make sense of its environment via facial and sound recognition, but this goes a step further. Asimo can also understand postures and gestures, such as handshakes, pointing or waving. This enables the robot to interact with humans quite well. It's also capable of detecting the movement of multiple objects, including distance and direction. This is achieved by 2 cameras in Asimo's head, acting as its eyes. Asimo can follow a face or turn its head to a person when being approached or spoken to. The robot also has the ability to recognize general sounds, such as an object falling or other loud noises. Overall, the robot is very multifunctional and can perform a number of general tasks, such as turning on light switches, opening doors, carrying objects, and pushing carts. Now, let's take a look at innovation. This one comes from the field of medicine. It's the Da Vinci robot, and I think it's a pretty good idea. The Da Vinci system is robotic technology that allows a surgeon's hand movements to be translated into smaller, more precise movements using tiny instruments inside of the patient's body. The Da Vinci has 2 parts: a tower where the robotic arm operates, and a separate console where it's being controlled by the surgeon. The tower is positioned directly over the patient during surgery and is equipped with 4 controlled computer arms. 3 of them have a wealth of surgical instruments, and the 4th is equipped with 3D cameras. At the console booth, the surgeon can operate the controls while looking through a stereoscopic monitor. This monitor provides an HD 3D view of the area being operated on. The end result is now hyper-precise movement without human artifacts such as shaking. Here's an example of the system performing a mock surgery on a grape. In the medical field, the Da Vinci is currently used for cardiac surgery, general surgery, head and neck surgery, urologic surgery, and various other surgeries. So finer and more controlled movements surely have their advantages, but some critics note that the Da Vinci system ultimately limits the creative freedom because the software can't be altered by physicians. So let's move from the operating table to somewhere completely different. Deep sea exploration. And we'll start off by Stanford's Ocean One robot. This robot is pretty interesting. It's a humanoid android that stands in between a human diver and an autonomous underwater vehicle. Stanford's Ocean One robot is supposed to dive into areas that are too dangerous for humans and likely to be damaged by traditional autonomous vehicles, areas such as coral reefs. Ocean One is controlled by a human who receives haptic feedback on the controls when the robot touches something. So the next robot takes this idea a little bit further. It's a fish robot called SoFi. In general, we as humans know next to nothing about the vast oceans on this planet and the life that lives within it. For example, the very first footage of the elusive Greenland shark, which can live for more than 400 years, was only captured in 2011. One solution is to have a robot that actually looks like a convincing part of wildlife, so it can swim close to and study ocean ecosystems without being detected. MIT researchers have recently just successfully tested SoFi in deep diving, and it can swim up to 40 minutes at once. It easily handled currents and took high-resolution photos and videos using a fisheye lens, somewhat ironically. Robert Katzman is head of this research at MIT's Computer and Science Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, and he says, quote, "To our knowledge, this is the first robotic fish that can swim underneath in 3 dimensions for extended periods of time. We are excited about the possibility of being able to use a system like this to get closer to marine life than humans could ever get on their own." End quote. The scientists hope that SoFi can shed some light on the ocean's deep mysteries. Staying on the topic of animals, our next robot is a cat. OpenCat is an interesting approach to robotics. It's a low-budget, yet capable, simple kit project for those wanting to learn about robotics. Inventor Rongzong Li explains, quote, "We are developing programmable and highly maneuverable quadruped robots for STEM education and AI-enhanced services. Its compact and bionic design makes it the only affordable consumer robot that mimics various mammal behaviors and reacts to its surroundings. Its innovative soft joints reduce wear or shock and extends the lifetime of hardware." End quote. There are 2 versions, one that uses an Adreno motion module for real-time adaptation, and a full version which uses a Raspberry Pi to enable AI-enhanced perception. The Pi brings Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and touch distance sensors, voice, and night vision capabilities. The project is geared at the less tech-inclined who still want to have some fun and something to play with. Lee states that the end goal would be like a little robotic cat Alexa or Android phone with an app store that you can download third-party applications and functions for. He hopes the end price will be about the same as the average smartphone. Okay, so this last one may not be a perfect fit, but I thought I'd chuck it in. These are robots whose sole purpose are to create as much damage as possible. And no, I'm not going to be revealing the secret rise of Terminator. What I'm talking about is those backyard-built robots from BattleBots in America and Robot Wars in the UK. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, I used to adore Robot Wars. In fact, I've told you guys before that the name of this channel was based on my old high school band's name, but even before that, Cold Fusion was the name of a robot I built in primary school. Anyhow, I had a look at the new American version of BattleBots, and it's come so far. It's almost like a sport in ways, with different strategies and excited commentators. As you can see, there's some insane effort put into some of these machines. But as far as pure destruction goes, the title for this category has to go to Tombstone in the American series. So with that, we've come to the end of the video. So which robot was your favorite and why? So to recap, we have the efforts from Boston Dynamics with almost human-like balance and agility, the friendly robot from Honda, Asimo, the surgical Da Vinci robot that increases the technical abilities of surgeons, Ocean One, an android diver, SoFi, a swimming fish robot, OpenCat, aiming to bring robotics to everyone, and lastly, backyard-built fighting robots. Let me know in the comment section below. So I want to thank you guys for watching the whole way through this video. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe. This has been Dagogo, you've been watching Cold Fusion, and I'll catch you again soon for the next video. Cheers guys, have a good one.
Cold Fusion, it's new thinking.
This week, Click is in Japan, where we'll be rolling, ponging, stroking, and screaming. Lots of screaming. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Crystals on fire on the shoulders of unicorns. I've watched sunbeams glitter in the dark near the Mount Inari gates. All those moments have been lost in time, like tears in rain. Time to make some new Japan memories. In the land that inspired Blade Runner, we're spending 2 weeks exploring this unique country as it aims for the moon, reaches for the stars, and tries to look after its own backyard. It's going to be a wild ride. And just like in other parts of the world, a lot of fascinating research goes on inside Japan's academic institutions. Here at the University of Tokyo, they're putting something very interesting down on paper. This is projection mapping, where an image is projected onto a specially marked surface, and as the surface moves, the projector warps its image to keep it in the right place. The difference between this and everything that we've seen previously is just how accurately the projector follows the surface. The system is scanning the marker dots and understanding the scene 1,000 times every second, which really is faster than the eye can see. And it's this super fast processing of the environment that Professor Masatoshi Ishikawa thinks will be necessary when we hand over more control to machines.
Machine vision have to be very fast. So the machine vision is applied to the vehicle, the airplane, and the factory automation, and the security, and so on. High-speed machine requires a high-speed image processing.
How have you done that? What's the science behind this?
So we have to design the high-speed and highly parallel processing system. That is a very difficult thing. And also, finally, we have to combine all of things. So we have to combine with high-speed image processing hardware. That means the parallel processing system. Parallel processing system recognizes all of the things. So we combine the high-speed image and high-speed image processing capability into the one system, or one board, or one chip.
We're not just talking about projecting an image onto a fast-moving object either. They can also follow an object with a camera with incredible precision. So just look at how this ball is staying absolutely in the middle of the shot, no matter how fast I move it. And in fact, remember, it's 1,000 frames a second, so it can even do this.
Instead of having to physically move the projector, or here, the camera, it's this mirror that moves to catch the action, reflecting it up into the lens. Although there are no concrete plans to use this in the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, this would certainly give you a proper bullseye view of televised sport. And that super-fast image processing can also be put to other uses, including reacting to an opponent's hand gesture in the as yet non-Olympic sport of rock, paper, scissors.
See, that was so fast I didn't even know whether it beat me. Right. Paper, scissors. That's too fast for my brain to actually work out what's going on.
Just for the record, it's identifying my move as soon as I start to open my hand, and then countering with a winning move before my hand is fully opened. So basically, it's cheating. It may have won the game, but I can take the moral high ground. Now to Chiba, just outside Tokyo, where Japan's biggest tech fest is being held. Each year, CTech attracts more than 600 companies, many of whom show off their new ideas way before they're due to come to market. And Dan Simmons is there, picking out the best of them to show us. CTech seems to be full of these cute robots, but they're not as helpful as they look, so I'd rather show you something you might find useful.
Now, it may look like a microwave oven, but this piece of kit is designed to tell me the number of calories and the sort of fat content, protein, carbohydrates of any dish that I put in there. At the moment, it just works with simple dishes. It uses near-infrared light and analyses the reflections of those inside this device, and it should work with any sort of food, eventually. It only takes about 10 seconds, and here is what we have, this piece of quiche. Pretty calorific, I'd say. I might leave that one in there.
It struggles with several foods on one single plate, and readings from my quiche varied a bit, so Panasonic says the Calorico is still a few years away. But fish has to be good for you, right?
So, Doctor, I'm having these stomach pains.
胃が痛いのです。
何か昨日は食べられましたか?
What did you eat yesterday?
I ate some sushi.
私はお寿司を食べました。
わかりました。では検査をいたしますので、少々お待ちください。
I see. Then I'll check, so please wait a moment.
And I'm waiting a moment. And that sort of interaction, eye contact, can be kept. And also, nobody needs to touch any device either. It seems quite natural, apart from that long-distance call wait.
The translation is done in the cloud, so response times will depend on cellular signal strength. This manga book has had a makeover, and again, translation is on hand. And the wristwatch has been brought up to date by Epson. And no, they didn't print it.
Now, it's old school, it's analog, but it is smart. It will measure temperature, altitude, steps I've taken, calories, also UV light it can measure, the direction I'm looking in, and it can take me back to my hotel. By pressing this button, it shows me the distance I have to go and the direction, which I've set previously by pushing this button to set a waypoint. Oh God, I've just set the waypoint. And
Okay, I give in. Let's go back to the robots then. Panasonic's Kokoto loves teaching kids. It praises and cautions them while encouraging children to do daily tasks like clean their teeth or eat their vegetables. Parents can get the robot to nudge the child in the right direction through the app. But Kokoto can't be thrown, or it'll break. It's a cushion with a waggy tail, and it wags differently depending on how you stroke it.
I think it's time for man versus machine.
For the first time ever, this year's version of Omron's table tennis playing robot, we previously featured on the show,
Oh, didn't get much of a rally in there.
it's faster and it's meaner.
Now, as well as tracking the ball, it's also tracking my body language, which Omron says means that it can detect when I'm about to go for a smash and respond accordingly. It didn't even move, did it? Let's face it, it didn't even move when I went for that smash. Are you okay? I nearly did you.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Tech. Microsoft this week showed off its upcoming Windows Mixed Reality update, revealing an addition to its lineup of mixed reality headsets. The Samsung HMD Odyssey claims to make use of the update's full grunt by allowing users to navigate their environment whilst enjoying the VR or the AR experience, or sometimes both. And Microsoft aren't the only ones experimenting with mixed reality. The National Theatre are testing smart glasses, allowing people with hearing impairments to enjoy live performances. The glasses shine light into the user's eyes to overlay captions on stage. Researchers have figured out a way to turn everyday objects and our body parts into remote controls. A simple webcam tracks movements in a room, and unlike traditional gesture control, the moving object could be anything, maybe a toy car or a hand. And off-the-shelf VR equipment could one day be used to control robots in the field. The virtual cockpit developed by MIT gives human pilots the feeling that they're right inside the robot's head. And finally, we got a look at Honda's latest humanoid robot, which it's been working on for the past 2 years. The disaster relief robot can move through narrow gaps, crawl over debris, and even climb ladders.
And in a Swiss cross-continent press event this week, Google showed off its new goodies specifically designed for the home, and I popped along for a gander.
They're there when you need them, they're simple to use, and they anticipate your needs.
We are introducing Mini.
First up, the new Home Mini. This cute donut is a more compact version of the Home, an assistant set to rival Amazon's Echo Dot, with a price tag to match of just under £50. And of course, a premium version called Max. With its main mission of playing music, it changes audio levels according to its ambient surroundings. Top of the lineup though was the search giant's new flagship smartphones, starting at £629.
And here it is. This is the Google Pixel 2. This is the XL version, which is 6 inches in size. The regular Pixel is 5 inches. And it's actually moved the speakers so that when you're watching a movie in landscape mode, you're not muffling any of the audio. It's also got quite a little nifty feature, which is called the Live Edge feature, that when you give the phone a squeeze, it brings up Google Assistant, which will then help you on your way. What's the best phone?
Its camera has had a reboot too. It comes with a clever portrait mode, which creates depth of field found in professional photos with only a single lens, using machine learning to do so.
Notifications and reminders, all without pushing any buttons.
With the new always-on display, the phone also shows you what song is playing in the background of wherever you are. It's always listening.
The Pixel 2, particularly the XL version, is really good. High-end, meets the specs of the other competitors too, but it's only got a tiny percentage of the market, 0.5% compared to iPhone and Samsung. So it's got a tremendous amount of work to do to catch up. That was what was interesting. The VP of hardware came right out and said that we basically reached the same level for all high-end handsets at the moment. They've all got the same specs, they all look the same, they've all got the same standards. So he was saying that they're going to now rely on the software and machine learning, AI really, to try and make these things better than their competitors.
And after having a dig at Apple last year for getting rid of the 3.5mm audio jack, Google has done the same. Pixel 2 users will have to use an adapter that fits into the USB-C charging port to listen with their wired headphones, which is included with the phone. Or they could buy the new Pixel Buds, which when used with Google Translate, they say allows wearers to chat to people speaking a different language. But anyone who's ever tried Google Translate will know exactly how that goes.
Hey Isabel, how's it going?
Hey Isabel, hur är läget?
Helt okej, tack.
Absolutely okay, thank you.
At £159 for the pair, the earphones themselves have 5 hours of battery life, but can be repowered up to 4 times from their special charging case.
It has to be noted that the translation app, Google's translation app, already does this. And so you can actually do this anyway. Whether it's possible for these two buds to act quickly and really produce, something approaching real-time translation is the key. If they can't do that, if it results in a stilted conversation with lots of pauses, then what's the point?
Buds or duds? We'll soon see.
And now it's back to Dan at CTEC.
Could this robot be top of the class? Denso isn't quite as dense as it may seem. It's answering university exam questions using artificial intelligence and then handwriting the answers. You can do anything here at CTEC. Race a Formula E car, practice your windsurfing, even climb a mountain.
But sometimes all you really want is an easy time at the convenience store.
Don't you just hate it when you finish doing your shopping and you've got to scan through each and every single item before you can end up paying for it? Wouldn't it be better if you just popped your basket into something like this, pushed the screen, and it just knew exactly what was inside it? The reason why this works is because of these RFID tags. They've made them nice and easy to see, but they'd be inside the packaging. And we've seen them before, but these ones work through water and through metal, so you can actually put them inside. About 10 years ago, they tried to do this and couldn't scan all the items in one go by putting the basket in a reader. Now, they can.
Now, Murata, who make the new radio frequency tags, just need to find a way to make them cost-effective and reduce pricing from 10 cents each to a disposable one. With so many companies here vying for attention, I found a technology to help cut through the noise.
Where everybody seems to be talking at the same time, it can be very difficult to work out each person's individual voice, and that's basically because as we grow older, it's more difficult to distinguish sounds, but also if everybody is talking at the same time, it's often quite tricky to pull out one person's conversation.
But this microphone could help. It's listening very closely and can separate out 2 or 3 voices talking at the same time.
Mitsubishi Electric calls this technology deep clustering speech recognition, which uses AI, and it's the world's first.
Now, the system recognizes the individual components of my voice, and therefore it can go off and rebuild it, resynthesize it to cut out all the background sound.
Mitsubishi Electric calls this technology deep clustering speech recognition, which uses AI, and it's the world's first.
The company says one use could be better voice control of tech in cars when everyone's chatting. Now, how about feeling like you're in 2 places at the same time? Japanese outfit KDDI calls this telepresence, and the haptic feedback is crucial.
And I have the ball, ladies and gentlemen, I have the ball.
Here, the robot is connected to my body tracking gear through a wire, but with super fast 5G telecoms networks just a year or 2 away, the company thinks it will help operators work remotely anywhere in the world. This robotic arm has developed a sense of pressure to its touch, so although objects may look similar, it feels how much to squeeze them before lifting. And transferring distinctive feelings to us humans is what Alps is trying to recreate. The company already made components for smartphones and games controllers, and reckon in 2 to 3 years you'll feel more than just vibrations.
Oh, that is cold. Oh, wow. I can feel a heartbeat, but I guess because my fingers aren't moving on the controller, I can't feel the fur. Oh, yeah, that's very good. And the sound as well from the controller adds to the sense of reality.
Very hot.
This is hot?
Yeah, very hot.
Oh! I think that could catch on.
That was Dan at CTEC, and we'll end this week on a high. Literally.
This is VR Zone Shinjuku, and it's only just opened, so we thought we'd drop in.
Spread over 2 expansive floors in Tokyo's expensive Shinjuku district, VR Zone represents a big bet on virtual reality being a big winner. After all, this tech, these staff, and this postcode don't come cheap. But before we take a look around, we've got a hairy situation on our hands. Time for me to don my super secret disguise and face my fears in the interest of feline well-being. Curiosity won't get this cat, not on my watch.
So I've got to rescue the kitten, which is on the plank. I'm hanging off the edge of a building. It wobbles. Holy cats. All right, just stay there, kitty. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, no! The plank's fallen! What are you looking at?
VR arcades like these are touted as a way for us to experience the best that VR has to offer without shelling out for expensive and ever-changing kit or having to find space in our living rooms, something that's especially relevant here in tightly packed Tokyo. To really sell the feeling of immersion, each game has its own custom interactive rig. There's the VR fishing rod, bicycle, Segway, other self-balancing transportation scooters are available, fighter jet, skis, complete with chilled air fan, and of course, the giant VR robot thumb.
I'm sitting on goddamn hand. Oh my gosh! I'm going up! Whoa! Oh, I can feel the heat of the laser sword.
But the one drawing the biggest crowds, unsurprisingly, features this guy. You hare around the track, talking to your friends on your headset, while smacking them with hammers or hurling exploding turtles at them.
No way! Oh my god! I'm inside Mario World. This is wild. Oh, mind the box. Gotcha! Whoa! Hello, Luigi. Whoa! Oh! All these years I've been saying, if you try and simulate motion in VR when you're not actually moving, it's an unpleasant experience. It's still an unpleasant experience.
This isn't the first VR arcade that we've seen, but it is the first place we've seen so many people getting genuinely excited about strapping a headset onto their face. Even so, this place does make you appreciate just how far VR has to go, from the pages of instructions to the legions of staff managing each experience. The whole thing is still complicated, confusing, and cumbersome. Depending on who you ask, augmented reality could be the ultimate end game for VR. That means overlaying information onto the world around us, like this projection-mapped climbing wall. The climbing routes can be changed in software, plus programmers can add in extra features and mini-games, like the punishing puffs of air when I get something wrong, which is quite often.
Anyway, that's it from Click in Japan for this week. Don't forget we love on Twitter at BBC Click and all that business. I'll see you soon.
Make your morning a little better. Mix and match 2 of these McDonald's breakfast sandwiches for just $4. Like the Bacon, Egg, and Cheese McGriddles, the Sausage McMuffin with egg, or the Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Biscuit. Start your morning with a delicious deal. Breakfast at McDonald's.
Throngs of Ford workers once assembled cars like the Model T, much of the work done by hand, by muscle power. Competitive pressures prompted industrial companies of all kinds to seek more efficient, less labor-intensive, and cheaper ways to make products. Bad news for millions of workers like Holly Stover, who once held jobs in industrial companies. She was laid off after years of work for steel firms.
Well, I hope to end up working a decent job, making a decent living.
With help from an employment counselor, Stover is exploring new kinds of work, worrying about healthcare costs, and considering school to update skills. A Georgetown University workforce expert says more industrial robots mean fewer humans have high-paying jobs on production lines.
The principal job eater since
the early 1980s, when this began with a vengeance after a very difficult decade of the 1970s in manufacturing, is technology. Probably 75% of the job loss is technology-based, just to say robots, machines in general, are substituting for people.
But a top Labor Department official says the changing economy brings new opportunities for workers if they have relevant skills. Many employers complain they can't find enough people who can do things like run advanced machine tools or program computers.
We've also in this country had a remarkable transition to a service economy. And really wonderful high-paying jobs in IT, for instance. Those are industries that didn't exist 20 or 30 years ago.
Meantime, the head of the Southeast Michigan Community Alliance says employers are trying to close the skills gap by seeking apprentices for high-paying jobs like electricians, plumbers, carpenters, millwrights, and pipe fitters.
I'm Naomi Kyle here with IGN News. Domino's Pizza has unveiled what they're calling the world's first commercial autonomous delivery vehicle to deliver pizza in Australia. The Domino's Robotic Unit, or DRU, was developed in collaboration with Marathon Robotics, known for making targets for live-fire army training. The DRU can reach speeds of roughly 12.5 miles an hour, overcoming obstacles in its path, and even navigate fences and driveways, although customers will have to collect their delivery from the curb for now. The DRU also makes conversation during deliveries and includes cameras to catch any potential pizza snatchers in the act. According to the CEO of Domino's, the DRU is completely safe. He said one of our inspirations for DRU is safety. It seems pretty crazy to us that we would use a 1.5-ton vehicle to deliver a few hundred grams of pizza. But Australians' pizza will continue to be delivered by humans for the time being. The DRU isn't allowed on highways and can currently only deliver an average-sized pizza. For all of your pizza robot news, stay tuned to IGN.
Motherfuckers painting Einstein.
For Complex Hustle, I'm Brian Hanley. Back in the 4th century BC, Aristotle predicted that human labor would no longer be needed once machines became sufficiently advanced. And as it turns out, Aristotle hit the nail on the head. In 1960, President Kennedy expressed concern about the future of automation.
What happens to man when machines take their place?
And then just last year, President Obama told Congress that robots could replace up to 50% of all American jobs in the next 14 years alone. 50% of all jobs. Whether you're talking about factory workers or truck drivers, marketers or accountants, people of virtually every education level are struggling to compete with the complex machines that can now do our jobs for less money and in less time than we ever could. Amazon's the perfect example of where things are headed. Behind Amazon's convenience and quick deliveries is a fleet of robots working side by side its laborers. Amazon's busy expanding its fleet of robots too and replacing more of its factory workers in coming years. Robots combined with Amazon's much anticipated drone delivery and the prospect of autonomous cars could very well enable Amazon to operate entirely by machines. These labor-saving technologies are exacerbating inequality by putting more middle-class people out of work while simultaneously making the wealthiest people among us, like the executives over at Amazon, even wealthier. It's quite possible that someday soon Amazon won't even need to employ a single factory worker, which is great for Amazon, but absolutely horrendous for its employees. The fact is, when more can be done by just a few people and their machines, it makes the rest of us pretty much useless. That's precisely why Elon Musk is calling for a universal basic income to counteract the inevitable disruption caused by automation. Basic income is the idea that all citizens receive a regular sum of money in order to meet their basic needs. While such an idea is commonly associated with market socialism, it's also fully compatible with capitalist systems, provided that the universal basic income is financed through taxation. Musk says, I think we'll end up doing universal basic income. It's going to be necessary. There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. The idea is once human labor becomes unnecessary, so too will our current economic system. For more stories like this, keep it locked right here on YouTube. Or if there's a robot you prefer to get your news from, that works too. For Complex Hustle, I'm Brian Hanley.
Innovations in our DNA, and delivering the best truck on the road today is something we're committed to always doing into the future.
Lawyering Up just got a modern-day twist. Ross is the world's newest super intelligent attorney, super artificially intelligent attorney, that is. That's right, you can now be represented by a robot lawyer. Kind of. Baker Hostetler, one of the biggest law firms in the United States, says it's hired a robot named Ross. Now, Ross won't be cross-examining witnesses anytime soon. Instead, the AI attorney will act as a legal researcher for the 50 human lawyers in Baker Hostetler's bankruptcy division. Ross is built upon Watson, IBM's cognitive computer, and it can search through thousands of legal documents and monitor the law for changes that can affect a person's case in order to save time for lawyers. Baker Hostetler CIO Bob Craig told Newsbeat Social that while Ross is still early in the venture, the attorneys who have used it have, quote, experienced an increased efficiency in use of time. What do you think? Would you trust a machine with your case? We'd love to read your thoughts in the comment section below. For Newsbeat Social, I'm Molly Real.
There's drones in the sky and there's drones on the road, but have you ever seen a drone of the water? We are here at DARPA's ACTUV christening of this 130-foot autonomous vessel that's probably going to change the way the Navy operates in 10 years. What it's supposed to do is autonomously stop submarines, perhaps even look for mines in the open water. Over the last 6 years, this vessel has turned from concept into what you see here, a 130-foot autonomous vessel ready to launch here in Portland, Oregon. So why don't we go talk to a few of the people that have made this happen. I'm here with DARPA Project Manager Scott Littlefield here at the Active site in Portland. And if you could just tell us a little bit about the Active and sort of its process into finally making its way into the water.
Sure. So we've been at this for several years. What we're building is a large unmanned surface vehicle that's designed to basically stay out to sea for weeks to months at a time. It's got a lot of endurance, can carry a lot of payload, and it's highly autonomous. So the DARPA program has really been focused on developing the autonomy to allow it to operate safely at sea and obey the rules of the road at sea, not collide with other vessels, and actually then hopefully do useful missions for the Navy. And so this prototype is going to help us figure out how to do that and what it's good for.
Was it a very bumpy road getting it to be as smart as it is today?
I'd say it was, in the sense that we kind of had some fundamental ideas of how the algorithms ought to work and how to write the software, and then we were testing it in a system integration lab on land. But we really didn't feel confident that that was enough, so we needed to get out to sea and find out how well does it really work at sea. So actually, starting about 2 years ago, we took essentially the brains of ACTA, the software, and installed those on a smaller vessel, which we call our surrogate boat. That process actually revealed some things that surprised us. So sometimes things that work great in the lab don't really work so well at sea. Right. And so, but I think that process of really getting to sea and learning what works and what doesn't, and then going back and understanding and diagnosing some of the problems and fixing the software, you know, that iterative process is what really has brought us to the point now where we feel very confident that it's going to work.
And now it's going to be heading down to San Diego this week for further testing over the next couple of years. Can you explain a little bit about what that testing is going to consist of and what we can expect?
One is really the technical performance of the vessel. You know, does it work as a vessel? Does the autonomy work as we expect it to? Is it reliable? And then once we kind of get over some of those sort of basic threshold questions, we'll get into testing payloads and testing its interoperability with other manned systems. So we really, at some point before too long, want to let the Navy work with it and start doing some experimentation where Active is working cooperatively with manned vessels to try to perform, you know, real missions. I mean, still in a test phase, right. but really understand how would sailors effectively use a capability like this to make what they're doing safer and more effective going forward.
What would you say then is the single biggest obstacle that it faces before the Navy can actually put it to use?
So I think it's reliability. You know, when we talk about obstacle avoidance, you know, the fact that it didn't run into another ship once is not statistically significant, right? So, and just like, you know, Google has been testing their unmanned car for years and they've got, you know, millions of miles on the road and still a lot more testing to go, I think for us really getting to that very high degree of confidence that this is just as safe and reliable as a human-operated vessel is probably the biggest challenge.
We should have a society that measures progress not just by economic metrics like GDP, but by how many of us have a role we find meaningful. We should explore ideas like universal basic income to make sure that everyone has a cushion to try new ideas.
Meet Pepper, the irresistible brand ambassador that gives your Marcom teams a powerful new way to engage with consumers and gives your sales force a helping hand for those mundane tasks that might otherwise prevent them from building better relationships with their customers. Pepper is designed to be conversant and interact with customers in a natural, engaging way. Created with a unique combination of emotional intelligence and an array of sophisticated hardware, Pepper responds to touch, can listen, and even knows how a customer is feeling, which is why some of the world's largest and most innovative brands in the retail space have chosen Pepper as their brand ambassador, sales associate, and all-around engagement specialist. Westfield, one of North America's leading shopping centers, partnered with SoftBank Robotics for the launch of Pepper's first retail experience in the U.S. The benefits to Westfield's customers were immediate.
Pepper helps that interaction with the concierge team by providing wayfinding, entertaining, and engaging our customers.
HMS Host is part of one of the world's largest providers of food and beverage services for U.S. airports. Pepper was chosen to be a host at their Pyramid Ale tap room within the Oakland International Airport, engaging with customers and offering food and drink suggestions.
Kids really seem to enjoy Pepper. Very busy environment. It's a stressful time flying. Takes their mind off of that stress. They really enjoy the interactions.
Beta, a new hands-on retail store that allows customers to experience future-forward technology, is a tech lover's dream. Pepper went to work at their Palo Alto flagship store and had such a huge impact that the Santa Monica location chose Pepper to elevate both their brand and store experience during the holiday shopping season.
The traffic was definitely up, as well as the response was very, very positive.
The app is a one-of-a-kind store where shoppers flock to buy customizable sneakers. When Pepper took over basic sales associate tasks, the store had one of its best runs ever.
I love observing the customer's reaction, the way that their faces light up when she talks to them, the way that they seem just to get the giggles when she explains to them what the products are and what the process is.
Always available, always engaging, always helpful. Meet Pepper.
Hi, how can I help you?
Imagine having a 5-star chef cooking all your meals for you every day of your life. This is the dream and the goal that Mully Robotics is trying to accomplish. They have created the first fully automated and intelligent robots that can learn recipes, cook all kinds of foods with a remarkable precision, and then clean up after themselves. Mully Robotics built a working prototype of the Mully Kitchen. This futuristic-looking workstation is equipped with advanced robotic arms and hands that can grip kitchen utensils, measure liquids, crack eggs, you name it, they can do it. Master Chef winner Tim Anderson was hired on as Mully's development chef and helped the robotics team teach the robots how to cook by using motion capture gloves and wristbands, much like a video game. This means you can potentially record the movements of other famous chefs and have a meal prepared for you indirectly by, let's say, Chef Gordon Ramsay.
You're in denial!
Mully Robotics recently launched a crowdfunding campaign looking for investors and potential testers of the prototype kitchen to help them improve the robot's ability. Mully believes that they can do for cooking what smartphone devices have done for communications and what vacuum cleaners have done for cleaning, according to the product video. You can read more about the Mully Robotics Kitchen at cnet.com.
Robot-operated flying factories, automated production lines, and green construction robots may all sound like science fiction, but in reality aren't that far-fetched. Project development and construction company Skanska UK has been awarded a £700,000 government grant to create the next generation of construction robots.
Robots have been used for routine tasks in car manufacture since the early 1960s. Now the traditional UK construction industry is on the verge of a robotic revolution. Qbot was recognised by the Chartered Institute of Building in its International Innovation and Research Awards. The company has designed a robot for applying underfloor insulation without the need to pull up floorboards, reducing heat loss in homes by up to 86%. Skanska UK, the UK arm of the Swedish contractor Skanska, has just won a £700,000 government-sponsored grant to investigate the potential application of robots in off-site manufacture. Sam Stacey is Skanska UK's head of innovation.
What we want to do is to work out how to bring robotic techniques into the construction industry to make what we do more efficient, to make it safer, to make it greener. And reduce where possible any jobs which are difficult or dangerous or tedious for humans to carry out.
Skanska UK is drawing on the expertise of specialised robot manufacturers ABB Robotics. Its general industry sales manager Mike Wilson says robots are capable of handling a multitude of tasks within the construction industry.
We will start to see robots being used for welding things, for handling heavy objects, for assembling some of the modular operations or modular parts that they have, for cutting holes.
So why has it taken so long?
I think some of it's a mindset thing. The car industry has been using robots for a very long time and they understand what they're about and how to make the best of them, whereas construction hasn't really been thinking about using automation in that way. They've had traditional methods in terms of how they produce buildings, and it's taking them time to adjust to new ways of doing things.
And spearheading the new ways of doing things are flying factories, like this one set up by Skanska UK in Slough. And it's projected that with the use of robots, flying factories like these could be producing up to 5,000 units in the very near future. But change doesn't come without challenges. Sam Stacey again.
When we bring robotics into construction, it'll affect our supply chains, it'll affect our designers. All the different organisations are going to be affected in their different ways. They're all going to have their own agendas. So managing the relationships, managing the collaborations is going to be as important as making the technology work.
Technology is pushing construction forward at an unprecedented rate. And as the cost-cutting and time-saving benefits are factored into project costs, it will only be a matter of time before robots like these become a familiar sight for the new-look UK construction industry.
Of farming. Autonomous robots working together to spray a paddock. An Australian-based company invented the weed-killing robot machinery, and the robots can communicate with each other to make sure not a single weed is missed. And more importantly, they are much lighter and more agile than traditional machinery. The invention has already attracted interest from universities and investors.
Robot food delivery hitting streets in San Francisco. A startup company in partnership with Yelp's Eat24 is experimenting with robot deliveries in 2 districts of San Francisco. Delivery robots are equipped with LiDAR, ultrasonic sensors, and cameras. One device is as big as a mobility scooter and stands at about average waist height. Users can choose to use the robot delivery service while placing orders through an app. A PIN code will be given to the user to unlock the robot's cargo compartment. After delivery, the robot will automatically return to headquarters or another restaurant. The startup company says the robot can be used to deliver groceries, pharmaceutical products, and parcels in the future.
And watch out, journalists. Your career may be in jeopardy. During the 2 sessions of China's Central China Hubei province, a robot has attracted attention. It was no ordinary robot, but was working as a journalist for a local television broadcaster. It was capable of making conversation with interviewees, recording their comments, before sending the materials back to headquarters.
Hey, let's face it, invoice accounting can be time-consuming and expensive. Your accounting team has to go through every single accounts payable invoice and input each line item manually, one by one. Of course, doing it this way is slow and inefficient, not to mention prone to errors. On top of that, there's the added stress of trying to calculate the proper VAT amounts and then making sure they're put in the correct place on the ledger. Geez, there's got to be a better way. There is. With Invoice Sharing's accounting robot, invoice accounting just got a whole lot smarter and faster. Our accounting robot finally makes fully automated invoicing at the single line level possible. This means better quality accounting and lower cost accounting. Better quality, since the accounting robot does the accounting for you on the invoice level, splitting line items correctly based on your specific rules and instructions. Or you can simply assign a trust level to the accounting robot and sit back while it does the work. And if it's not sure, it'll ask you before proceeding. Now that's smart. And lower cost, because the accounting robot allows your team to process invoices faster than with manual entry. You only pay a small invoice fee when using the accounting robot, which gives you fast, detailed, and consistent line-level invoicing at a fraction of the normal FTE labor.
Anheuser-Busch is the largest brewer in the United States. We ship over 1.2 million truckloads each year. We are always looking for new innovations in technology. Otto's trucks are the next area of transportation innovation.
The driver would still be involved with the pickup, loading the freight, making sure it's secure in the back of the vehicle. And then once you're on the interstate, one switch and it's driving itself down the road.
Software rails, and so when you will see a vehicle driving with nobody in it, you'll know that it's very unlikely to get in a collision.
I proclaimed to one of the technicians, I said, I don't think I could have done that better myself. That was an interesting moment.
Some people are genuinely asking what jobs there might be left for humans actually to do, and one answer seems to be things with our hands, because robots don't have motor skills, so things perhaps like working with or cutting or swallowing. Clearly, much of this is monotonous, and it's not very well paid. So who will give us money or pay for things if we no longer work or raise taxes? Increasingly, it's being suggested that a so-called universal income may be the answer, being paid not to work.
Today, suddenly universal basic income is a serious policy option. There's lots of experiments going on as to how it can be done, what effect does it have. It's moved much more into the mainstream, and that I think is a